Going live? Okay, we'll start. वटविटपि समीपे भूमिभागे निषन्नं सकलमुनिजनानां ज्ञानदातारमारात् त्रिभुवनगुरुमीशं दक्षिणामूर्तिदेवं जननमरणदुःखच्छेददक्षं नमामि। चित्रं वटतटोर्मूले वृद्धा शिष्या गुरुर्युवा गुरोरस्तु मौनं व्याख्यानं शिष्यास्तु छिन्न संशयाः। ओम नमः प्रणवार्ताय शुद्ध ज्ञानैकमूर्तये निर्मलाय प्रशांताय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओम विश्वं दर्पण दृश्यमान नगरी तुल्यं निजांतर्गतं पश्यन् आत्मनि मायया बगिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यस्साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोध समये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्री गुरुमूर्तये नमः। इदं श्री दक्षिणामूर्तये। So we are in this shloka now, and I think in last class we could see only the first line. It just started. Actually, this shloka, the first shloka of this Dakshinamurty Stotra, is about Jiva and Jagat. See, there is this triangle, Jiva, which is the living beings, the Jagat, which is the empirical world that we see, and the Ishvara. Now, one of the questions I raised was, there is this inherent desire in us to somehow know what is the connection between these three, and therefore a lot of discussion in Vedanta is trying to resolve this, trying to connect this triangle. So this particular shloka is connecting two out of the three. The Jiva, which is each one of us, and the universe, which is the empirical world. So this shloka is the Jiva Jagat Sambandha Vishaya. And Shankaracharya uses two examples to establish this connection between Jiva and the world. One example is Drishyamana, Darpana Drishyamana, reflection in a mirror. The city which is reflected in a mirror. As though you keep a big mirror, you are seeing only the image. I am not talking about the object. I am talking about the pratibimba, not the bimba. Please understand, whenever examples are quoted, you are not, whenever an upama is used, a simile is used, you have no business to overstep. Because that is not the intended purpose. He is, lion, he is like the lion. Then don't, explore properties of lion in him. Or, he is steel-hearted. Don't subject to all properties of steel. That is not the idea there. In an upama, there is a certain bridge, there is a certain commonality with which an idea is expressed. So, moment it says, so the first example or the upama he uses is a city, the reflected image of a city in a mirror. So you have to confine only to that. Don't go to the city, don't get into all that, we should not do, because we have to understand why are we getting there. That's what we saw, the first one. Vishwam, the world, is how? The world is like Darpana Drishyamana Nagari Tulyam. It is as similar to seeing the reflected images in a, city you can live, reflected images in a mirror. But the world is nija antargatam. Actually it is inside. We seem to be seeing outside. And to resolve this confusion only, he brought this example. That it is like reflected images in a mirror. We saw that last class in some detail. And the second example he brought to describe the sambandha between jiva and the jagat is the nidra, yatha nidraya, sleep, dreaming. He brings the concept of dream and uses that to explain how the world and I are is similar to what you see there. What is that? It says bahiriva udbhutam. It looks as though it is outside. Bahihi iva udbhutam. It is throwing itself out as though it is outside. It is actually nija antargatam. The dream also is nija antargatam. So we will come to it. Now coming to quickly recapitulate the first example of the reflected image of a city or reflected images on a mirror. There are 4 things which I spoke about. I want to recapitulate because you have to deeply think on that bridge with which he is trying to create. And what are we to infer? Reflection has no independent existence at all. Remove the mirror, the reflection is gone. There is no independent existence for reflection. Now you have to map it to the original problem at hand. So Shankaracharya is saying there is no independent existence to the world. It's an empirical world in your mind. That is what he is using that simile for. That is why my world is different from your world. And your world is different from an insect which has only 3 indriyas. That world is very different. The world never said I existed. We said the world existed. The world never said I existed. We only said, how did we see? I decided. That is a deep point he is making. So reflection has no independent existence. World has no independent existence. It depends on the mirror. Mirror is the jivatma. You take the mirror out, the world is gone. Or much depends on how the mirror is. The image is a function of the mirror. That's the first point. Second point, reflected events cannot affect the mirror. Just because there is a reflection of a fire, mirror will not burn. Just because there is a reflection of a flood, mirror will not be wet. This is the second point we have to understand. Which means the world, if it is affecting myself, it is your ignorance. He is bringing that point there. First of all, world is what you chose to see. Now you can throw it into you, and then that is what we are doing all the time. We throw everything onto us. It's called, adhyasa. You throw everything onto you and then create mess out of you. He uses this example to say that the mirror, the events of the images need not and cannot affect the mirror. This is the second point. Third point, look at this. Experience is there. I saw some images, but the reflection is unreal. Real is the object. Reflection is not real. It is unreal. Just because you have experience, that is not a necessary condition. It may be a necessary condition, but not a sufficient condition to establish reality. Reality is the object. This is one level of that. In other words, the mirror is satyam. The image is mithya. And why I am saying that? If you go a little further, the mirage in a desert, you have experience. Who said you don't have experience? Of course you have experience. There is no water there. It's mithya actually. So mere experience may not be sufficient to establish the existence of something. Because, dream is also like that. Dream, at least we are able to come to terms with a little more logic also. So we'll come to dream. Dream brings some certain other interesting dimensions also. And 4, mirror is the substratum, reflection is a superimposed aspect on it. So you have to remember these four and relate the mirror to the jiva and the jagat to the image, and one can act. So this is the point he is first bringing, and it brings a few understanding of what the world is. Who am I in the world? How do I connect myself to the world? How do I make sense of the events in the world? All these he is trying to explain with this example. So we need to reflect and think on that. We saw so much last class. Now let's go to the second line. Pashyan Atmani. He is seeing in him only. Atmani Pashyan. Pashyati. Atmani Pashyati. Finally, this is about the dream. Pashyan Atmani Mayaya Bahiriva Udbhutam Yatha Nidraya. Now let's take an example of a dream. We'll take Manasollasa. Sureshwaracharya's wonderful description on Dakshinamurty's Manasollasa. Wherever possible, I want to bring one or two shlokas and just show it in front of you. So from Manasollasa, there are 3 shlokas which Sureshwaracharya brings. Look at this. Very interesting. He says, Yata Swapne Nripo Bhutva, I have become a king. First thing that happened was in the dream, I have become a king. Swapne Nripo Bhutva, I have taken upon the role of a king. I am a pauper. Next food, I don't know where it is coming from. But that cannot prevent me from dreaming like the Samrat of this country. Right? So, Yata Swapne Nripo Bhutva, Bhuktva Bhogan. Moment to become a king, then there is this whole experience of how to enjoy, na? All bogas. Bhogan Bhuktva, Bhogan Yatepsitan, Yavat Avashyakam, Tavat. Enjoy. All these are happening in the dream. Then what happens? Chaturanga Balopetaka. Now I have 4 types of army with me. Chaturanga. Cavalry, elephant, horse, like that. I have all these 4-fold army with me, and everything is happening in dream. By the way. Chaturanga Balopetaha. Shatrum Jitva. I have now won my enemy also. Shatrum Jitva Ranarange. I think that's a typos. Ranarange. In the battlefield I have won also. Dream is really going interesting now. I have won my... Now the dream is also changing. Look at next. Parat, Kinchit Kalat Anantaram in the dream. Nobody knows the time and space scale in dream. Because from 100 Janmas you can dream. There is one Bhagavatam, there is a nice story. Narada in one fraction of a second dreams of going to a village and then meeting a Brahmin, beautiful girl, and then he marries that girl, and then they have so many children, and then there is a big flood, and he wants to save his children and family and all that. Then he wakes up, everything has happened in a fraction of a second. So the time and space, don't ask me. It can go to light years also. But anyway, Parat, Kinchit Kalat Anantaram, Parajitaha Bhuta, now I have been defeated. The climax is coming now. Parajitaha Bhutva, Vanam Prapya, so I have now driven to the forest. Vanam Prapya, Tapascharan. So now there is nothing else for me, so I will now been driven and then I get into the forest and then do tapas. Muhurta Matram, all these happened in one Muhurta. Muhurta is a specific unit of time. Okay? So, Muhurta Matram Atmanam Manyate Kalpa Jivanam. All these trace of events have happened in one, just like that. Right? Tataiva, Sureshwaracharya says, Tataiva, in the same way, Jagrat Kalopi, he says there is no big difference between waking and dreaming. You may see difference, but I am telling you, you have not seen the continuum. You are also dreaming during the daytime only, he is saying. It's daydreaming. He says, Jagrat Kalopi Manorajyam Karoti Aso. Here he was a king of a country, there he was a king of, the mind was the king. Manorajyam Karoti Aso. Kala Nadyo Vegena, the river called time flows. Kala Nadyo Vegena, Kshinamayu Pashyati. His jivana is becoming Ayur Nashyati Pashyatam Pratidinam Yati Kshayam Yavvanam Pratyayanti Gataha Punadna Devasaha Kalo Jagat Bhakshakaha Lakshmi Stoya Taranga Banga Chapala Vidyuchalam Jivitam. So it's like that, right? He says we are all dreaming only. Half of it is wakeful dream, half of it is sleeping dream. That's what he said. But anyway, now let us understand this dream process. This whole dreaming process. So, no, dreaming is happening now. Now he is talking about Yatha Nidra, he is talking about this dream. So let us understand this whole technology of the dream now. Because this is the heights of Indian psychology. I have been repeatedly saying Western psychology took only waking state. We took dream, sushupti, everything into analysis. That's why our psychology can be profound. So let's look at this dream. There are a few things which we have to understand about dream very clearly. First of all, it is a projection from us, from each one of us. Us means not collectively. We cannot dream collectively. Each one of us have to dream. But in my dream, Sridhar can be there and we can pick up an argument also. They are all allowed. But it's my dream, not Sridhar's dream. In Sridhar's dream, he can pick up an argument with Mahadevan. That is his dream. So it's all, individual. It's a projection from us. And why? And for purpose of the dream, first thing required is to create a world. It's a virtual world actually. But it is so real. Because some people get up after dream with the sweat on their forehead because in the dream something was chasing them. Somebody was chasing or some dog was chasing or something. They have run and they are tired and then they are shaken out of the dream and there is sweat, which means there is a sense of reality. So there is a big question whether dream is real or unreal. It's very hard to answer. And Shankaracharya says waking reality is also the same. Only thing is your level of abstraction and understanding is less. He says waking is no different from dream. Waking is no different from dream. You don't have that subtlety to understand. So you think it is you are so gross, so you think this is different. But look at in dream is real because there is sweat on my forehead. But it is unreal. When I am sleeping, how can a dog chase me? Please tell me. How can a dog chase me and then I get gasping for my breath and that's how the forehead is getting wet. This is what we have to inquire very deeply. So we create another world and we have all become Brahman every day. When you create a dream, you have actually created. The creation process is in your hands. We saw it in great detail in Taittiriya Upanishad Brahmanandavalli, if you remember. We have all become Brahman. We are all, I am Atma Brahma, Aham Brahmasmi. Why? I can create anything here. Ramba can come and do a dance also in my dream. I have no idea what Ramba is, but I can still get it in my dream. It's possible. We are all Brahman actually. You name anything, it can be created in the dream and we all have proof. I am not talking, hypothetical ivory tower. I am talking so-called reality. Right? We create the dream, but we also enter into it. That's the best thing. There is no dream without you. Tell me one dream in which you are not there. You are there at least as an anubhava. You are actually a witness. There may be a dream in which you are not there, but you are there because you actually saw all of them and inferred, you made an observation, everything, or you made an inference, or you had an impression. That means you are there. So we are there, and this world is required for all dream-related transactions. Dream-related transactions come out of only what you know. So if something comes which you didn't know, actually you knew. That's why Shankaracharya says the world is inside, not outside. The world is inside because what you are seeing outside is only popping this up. Because you are the mirror, you are just popping it up and seeing it on the images. That is what he is saying. So this is the first thing. The second thing is, the waker becomes a product in the dream world. As I told you, you have to be part of it. So this itself is Mayajal. I can sleep, but I can also have an alter ego which is running and talking to somebody, catching a flight, going to New York. I mean, this is the biggest Mayajal possible, but we do every day. Why are we not questioning that? When you saw a Mayajal in a movie, then you become rational. You say, all these are nonsense. You are going through nonsense every day. Please understand. That's why it is a level of abstraction. You think waking is real and dreaming is unreal, or you think waking is unreal. I mean, Shankaracharya says all of them are on the same platform only. You have not understood. You have to inquire this very deeply. Your level of psychology is very, very naive. Right? And within the dream, we are not creators. We are not only creators, I must say. We are not only creators, but we are also actors. Actually, within the dream, we are the actors. Outside of the dream, we are the creator. Once you step into the dream, you are an actor, not a creator. So there is a creator which is different from actor. That creator is a witness to the dream. The creator is actually seeing the dream. And there is another personality which becomes the actor. I mean, this is very complex. If you start analyzing, you don't take dream very lightly. Indian psychology is heavily, built on understanding Jagra, Swapna, Sushupti. Lots of things about life can be sorted out. So who am I? I don't know. It's a function of where do you want to associate. If you want to associate within the dream, you may be, I don't know who you are. If you want to associate yourself with the witness for the dream, you are something else. This is within the dream. Once you are out of the dream, that's different. I am now in the dreaming state. I am not stepping out of the dreaming state. I am within the dreaming state or talking all this. Who am I is a function of where do you want to associate yourself. Because you have now two personalities for yourself. A creator and an actor. A Brahman and a Jivatma. Both are you. Then finally both the waker, which is the waker is the one who created the dream while sleeping. Okay? The waker who is the creator of the dreaming, who is a Brahman for all practical purposes during dream. And the dreamer, which is the created personality, are actually one and the same. They are one and the same. Yet we don't seem to be very uncomfortable about it. If you are so uncomfortable, dream would have broken, we would have gotten up and started asking, how can there be two Mahadevans? One Mahadevan sleeping, another Mahadevan actually catching a flight. How is it possible? Now where is the flight in the room and inside my mind here? Flight requires a parking bay, it requires gates, it requires your security check, everything is, I don't know, where are you doing? That's why Bahiriva Udbhutam. It's all happening inside. But the seeming reality is, it is as though it is happening outside. Because for an airplane you can take a tape and measure how much space is required. If it is a A320. Where is the A320 when you are sleeping? Is it inside or outside? It has to be outside. But actually it is happening inside. So Nija Antargatam Pashyan Atmani Bahiriva Udbhutam. Because the reality looks so well that it is happening outside. Otherwise it's illogical. I cannot insert a plane inside myself to catch a flight and go. Right? And all these are resolved when we wake up. When do you resolve all these? You wake up. And Ramana Maharshi used very nice this I have heard. There was a fellow who was sleeping, dreaming. He was a pauper. But as always dreams were like that, he imagined himself to be a very rich man in the dream. So the dream went on with all its fantasy. And as he was dreaming, midway part of the dream is that he had hidden all that treasure. This is part of the dream. He has hidden all this treasure, newfound treasure somewhere in his house or something. One thief came and then took all those treasures and then ran away. Now this fellow is shouting in the dream. Question is, what do we do? Nobody will go and catch the thief. They will wake him up. How many of us will go and catch the thief? Nobody will go and catch the thief. We'll only wake him up and say, boss, find out your next food now. Get up. So the waking up process is the only way by which you can resolve or dissolve, whatever you want to say. You can resolve the unambiguity concerning that. Every day we are doing it. While dreaming it is so interesting or so tense or so happy or so sad, whatever in the dreaming. But when we get up, you throw all of them out and resolve all of them. This is what is happening. This is exactly what he is saying in that shloka, the second and the third line. We will see that. So let us understand the dream technology now. Process and outcome, if you have to take, Nidra is the process, Swapnam is the outcome, out of which there is a Swapna Jagrat. So there are now two worlds now. The waking world and the dream world. So I am now talking about the dream world. Swapna Jagrat, where I caught the flight, I went to New York, all that happened in a nanoseconds. Right? And what are the attributes of a dream? There are two attributes. One is Nija Antargatam, actually it happened inside. Dream never happened outside. Dream happened only inside. That's attribute 1. What is attribute 2? Bahiriva udbhutam. Otherwise it becomes illogical. So temporarily we have brought the world outside. We have spanned the world outside. The world is inside, but we have created as though the world is outside. So we are very comfortable with logic. So I am now into this dreaming business. Just like the movie projection, or just like the mirror projection of the image. And how do you resolve it? Prabodha samaye. You get up. That's the only way you can resolve this. There is no other way. The only way you can resolve dream is to be. That's why when that fellow is shouting thief, thief, give him a nice beat. I say get up. Everything will be resolved. Correct? So prabodha samaye, what will happen? Sakshat krute. You meet the reality. So-called, it's a transient reality. Adi Shankaracharya is saying that waking is also, you have to use this example only up to that. You should not overextend it. From here you are meeting the reality. Sakshat kurute, and what did you find? The creator, the product, the actor, the plane, the mic which I use for giving a talk, everything is me. Advaitam. Everything merged into one. It is the single entity which was able to do all the, I resolved all that. This is what the third line says. In the shloka. Sloka says, Vishwam darpana drishyamana nagari tulyam nijantargatam pashyan atmani mayaya bahriva udbhutam yata nidraya yat sakshat kurute prabodha samaye swatmanam eva advayam swa atmanyeva advayam swa atmanyeva advayam. Okay. So far we have looked at the dream. Now he is saying that there is this waking state is another dream. Have you woken up is a very deep question. Because you can wake up in two ways. One way is physical waking up. Shankaracharya is not talking about physical waking up now. He is saying you are in a yoga nidra. You are in a maya. If you wake up, until you wake up from the maya, then what happens is the waking state is another level of dreaming. With degree 1, degree 2. That's all is the difference you can see. I am using one reality to map you into the next reality. One observation and one set of a phenomenon which we are aware to map it to the next level and give a improvised meaning for what do you mean by wake up. Wake up is not getting up. That is physical waking up. We are all physically woken up. We are not spiritually woken up. So we are dreaming. So what is happening inside, the world is inside is what the first line said. We are seeing as though it is happening outside. Bahiriva udbhutam. Because we are in nidra, and nidra is because of maya. So that maya is for the physical world. So now that's why he is using all these words. He wants to translate this idea from this simile into the reality of the sambandha between jiva and jagat. So the empirical world is one level of abstraction of reality. There is a possibility of even transcending it. That is the point he is making now. It's just one level of reality. Why do you think that's the final? Why do you think that we have reached the finality in that? He says it is one level of reality. You will be able to transcend, for which he uses this entire dream idea to explain the whole thing. So this is what it is now. So you take nidra, which is this example which we took, then take the reality, so-called reality, which is we see a world, I am there. So what is the equivalence between the two? The equivalence of nidra is the maya or avidya. As long as you have avidya, you are not woken up. You are in a very improvised nidra of another kind, in which your senses can work. And it will be seemingly real. Much more reality degree will only increase. We say it is one level only, it is a gradation. Okay? And what is the outcome of the process? You will have Swapna Vishwam here, there you have Jagrat Vishwam. There is another reality called, another degree of reality called waking world. So he doesn't use the word world. He only say, all our Vedantins, that's why discuss like that. They say there is a waking world, there is a dreaming world, and there is a Jagat for Sushupti. which is dreamless deep sleep. All the three worlds are same. That's why you have to go for Vishwam Darpana Drishyamana Nagari Tulyam. It's only depending upon the context in which we are operating our screen, because the mirror chose to reflect in a particular way, it reflected something else. If the mirror is milky, it reflects less. Mirror is very bright, it reflects very well. So how bright and dull is a function of whether you are in Sushupti, Jagrata or Swapna. That's another way to understand. And what is the locus of the process? He says locus of the process is Nija Antargatam. Locus is inside only. Because of the varying reality, you are thinking it is Bahiriva Udbhutam. Apparent place of occurrence is Bahiriva Udbhutam. Dreaming also it is happening, waking also it is happening. Waking looks logical to us. Dreaming is logical the way I argued. It cannot be logical. It has to be logical. Bahiriva Udbhutam eva. Swapnam api. Right? And what is the resolution process? For a simple nidra, you have to get up. So the thief, when he is shouting, give him a beat, ask him to get up. Physical get up is enough for the nidra. For us to get up from the other maya, you need jnana anubhava. Jnana, you have to, sampadana has to happen. If that ultimate knowledge spurti bhavati, everything gets resolved. In other words, the final outcome is swatmanam eva, swa atmanam eva advayam. These seeming conflicts, seeming confusions which are there will all be resolved into oneness. This is what this whole shloka is about. It's a very deep psychological piece to reflect and make our own understanding of what it is. So that is what this shloka is. Now you see, Vishwam Darpana Drishyamana Nagari Tulyam Nijantargatam. Example 1. Pashyan Atmani Maya Bahiriva Udbhutam Yata Nidraya. The dreaming example. Yaha, that person, Sakshat Kurute. He who has woken up. Now this he who has woken up is that bigger person who is woken up from even the other sort of a dream, waking state. Woken from the waking state. You have to say it like that. Yaha sakshat kurute prabodha samaye swatmanam eva advayam tasmai Shri Gurumurti. He is nothing but Sakshat Gurumurti because he has Brahmanubhava has happened to him. Tasmai Shri Gurumurtaye namaidam. Sri Dakshinamurtaye. So that is how so the first shloka actually challenges our understanding of the empirical world and I. It gives a much deeper philosophical possibility for us to understand I. So I. Huh? So
that wake up, that awakened person is
Dakshinamurti. He is the world and he is one with everything. He is nothing but Sakshat Dakshinamurti. Dakshinamurti manifests like that. For which, in fact, Sureshwaracharya brought that shloka here. Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurti. We used it during Taittiriya Upanishad. That is the Manasollasa for explaining connecting these two. So he says in a world, a Guru, the Ishvara manifests as Guru as Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya. An illumined person is where he radiates. So that is the shloka he brought here to explain that. Huh.
Because deep sleep, even though it is like 6 hours, you might feel really restless. So is it that time planes are different?
That is what? Moment from... Yes, so there are 3 different degrees. Moment you go out of the waking state, your notion of Desha and Kala will be destroyed. That's why it is happening. Even dream. In dream, if I go to New York and come back, you may calculate some time here. Dream was only for half an hour. So that happens in dream also. In other words, from this gross reality where the Desha and Kala seem to make sense, Desha and Kala exist but they doesn't make sense. It is in a different logarithmic scale. These are the gradations. So there are lots of supporting shlokas from many places which are all, when I say the world is within, the world is within, it is only popping out. In Panchadashi, Vidyaranya has a lot of shlokas, so I just brought this. Asatyapi cha bahyartam swapnado badhyate naraha. Something which is asat, right? Still you are bound by it while you are dreaming. In the state of dreaming, it is so real. You are bound to it, na? Conditions like sukha and dukkha, everything, at the time of dreaming, it is so real. That's why there's sweat in my forehead when the dog was chasing me. So that is enough proof you may think for reality. Although it's all nonsense finally. Right? Samadhi supti murchasu satyapi asmin na badhyate. Actually, while this is happening in dream, he says, while you are in murcha, fainted, or samadhi or sushupti, sat also will not bother you. For example, in deep sleep, I can put a black cobra on you, nothing will happen to you. Aram se you will sleep. Because sat is na badhyate. Because you have shed all your faculties of everything in deep sleep. So, which means the world that you have is clearly a function of what you chose. And what you chose is a function of what state you are in, which you took yourself into. These are all choices, right? And what is the real waking up? This is called Vedanta Dindimagosha. A nice set of shlokas are there. I just picked up only 2 of them. Beautiful set of shlokas are there. It says, Janma dukkam jara dukkam jaya dukkam punah punah samsara sagaram dukkam tasmad jagrata jagrata. The day you realize this is nothing but bundle of dukkha, that day there is a possibility of waking up. Until we are not recognizing it, we may be woken up, but not woken up in that sense. Right? Kamascha krodascha lobascha dehe tishtanti taskaraha. These are the taskaraha are the thieves. So there are 3 thieves like Kama, Krodha and Lobha who are all sitting in you. And what are they doing? Jnana Ratna. There is a Jnana Ratna that you have, Apahara. They want to take it away and go away. Tasma Jagrata Jagrata. So therefore get up. Wake up, wake up. So it's called Vedanta Dindimagosha actually. So this is the real waking up. Real waking up is to understand Nitya Anitya Vastu Viveka. Iha, Amutra, Pala, all that which I talked about. Sadhana Satushti. A person who has transcended that really woke up. That's the meaning of real waking up. Otherwise, they're all physical waking up. We are not bothered about physical waking up.
So who is attributed to?
I don't know. Some people say Shankaracharya, but it's a little bit, it's not very clear. But there are about, I think 10, 12 shlokas. And I don't want to bring all of them because, you will start, beating me because it is really at a very high level. I don't know exactly. So, how do you get this prabodha, this real waking up? In Manasollasa, Sureshwara Acharya says that real prabodha happens if you have this. Shruti Acharya Prasadena, you should have that prasada of Shruti. The Upanishads and the Shruti, you should have that prasada. Acharya Prasada. Finding that guru who can lead you, right? Yoga Abhyasa Vashena cha. That's why in chapter 6 he said, Abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grihyate. That yoga abhyasa is what he is talking about. Ishvara anugrahena api. So atma bodho. So how do you get this prabodha? He says these are the conditions. Shruti prasada, acharya prasada, yoga abhyasa, which means you have to also endure, no? Only then the prasada will come. You can't say, fate, so therefore it will come. You just sit or, open everything and then anyway it is going to come. Somebody will come and take whatever you have and go. That is not the idea. You put your prayatna and all that. Ishvara anugraha and all that. Then you look at the second sentence. He says, what happens when it comes to you? He says, when you eat, in a beautiful shloka, he says, you may eat a laddu, you may eat in a 4-square meal, a sambar and then some puri, iri and all that. He says, when you eat all of them, before eating they are all different. Once you put it onto the grinder and then do whatever work has to be done, they all get into a homogeneous unit called food. That's why, in the food you can have, pal payasa followed by curd rice also. Outside it is hard to manage these two. So he says, Bhuktam yata annam kukshistam Swatmatvenaiva pashyati. Swatma, it becomes yours. Once it goes in, not only it becomes one, it becomes yours. It all becomes part of you. It becomes part of you. Right? In the same way, he says, a person who got this jnana is a nice example. He says, what will happen? He will consume the whole world into him. Whole world becomes his. Then names, forms and differences cease to exist. Just like outside it was puri and laddu and palpayasam and all that. Once you had it, all yours now, one and yours. That is what is the example he gives in Manasollasa. He says, Purna Hanta Kabalitam. Just like one Kabbalah that you had, one swallow you had, like that the whole universe will be consumed and swallowed into one. Vishwam Yogishwaraha Tata. That is the one who really became a Prabodha Samaya. This is the real Prabodha Samaya. But Swatmanameva Dvayam, there are a lot of references. I just, from Kaivalya Upanishad, I just took this. It's nice. Puratraye Kridati. Puratraye ityukte Jagra Swapna Sushupti. So we are in three possible, this Puri is in three states. Puratrayascha Kridati. Yascha Jivaha. This Jiva plays in these three. As a waker and a dreamer and a deep sleeper. Tatastu Jatam Sakalam Vichitram. All these different things happen when you are in these three states and playing like this. Adaram Anandam Akandabodham Yasmin Layam Yati Puratrayascha. Actually then you find all these are resident in that, right? Which is the embodiment of your, which is the Adhisthana, which is the Ananda, which is Akanda, which is the Bodham. Right? All those. Mayeva Sakalam Jatam, Mayi Sarvam Pratishtitam, Mayi Sarvam Layam Yati, Tad Brahma Advayam Asmi Aham. This is Sandhi. It's all, so I just pulling it out. Tat Brahma Advayam Asmi Aham. Brahma Advayam Asmi Aham. Right? So he says, this is one. That one is Swatmanam Eva Dvayam. Shruti is full of that descriptions. I thought I will just. Okay. Now we will move on to the second shloka. So the first shloka talks about the relationship between the so-called empirical world and an individual. He resolves it with two beautiful examples. The mirror reflected on a city and the technology of dreaming and the process, outcomes, the locus of occurrence, but apparent place of occurrence. You bring all that and churn, you will get some ideas. And please understand, the real waking up has to happen, not the physical waking up. All these is said in first shloka. So an unawakened person, Sakshat Kurute Prabodha Samaya, if that doesn't happen, an unawakened person is akin to a dreaming person. It's only a different level, that's all. World which is inside appears as though it is outside, and world appears as though it is real. You see, that's what is happening even in a dreaming state for us, because we are not woken up yet. But we think that reality is more better and more real than the dreaming one, but it's a matter of degree. Okay. Now comes the second shloka. In the second shloka, Shankaracharya brings the relationship between Jagat and Ishvara. The first shloka, it was a relation between Jiva and the Jagat. These three are important for us. So in the first shloka, he related the empirical world with each one of us. In the second shloka, he is relating the empirical world with the God, which directly takes us to the origin of the world. The whole creation process. In great detail we saw in Taittiriya Upanishad, if you remember. Brahmananda, I went back and saw some 6-7 classes we have looked at. In great detail we looked at the creation process. So basically he talks about the creation process. That is what is happening in shloka 2. We'll read the shloka 2 first. Bijasyantarivankuro jagadidam prangnirvikalpam punah maya kalpita desha kala kalana vaichitra chitrikritam maya viva vijrumbhyatyapi mahayogi vayasvechaya tasmai shri gurumurtaye namayitam Sri Dakshinamurtaye. I'll do a Padacheda first, because we know a little Sanskrit and so we'll sort of keep visiting that. Bijasya Antaha Iva. These are all in Sandhi. Different padas, they are all in Sandhi. Bijasya Antaha Iva Ankuraha. The tree which is inside a seed. Bijasya Antaha Iva Ankuraha. Again it says Iva, as though. He uses very careful words. Because you have to use the Iva and then keep thinking. Why did he put the word Iva? Because that's where you have to resolve this whole notion of the creation process. Because nobody knows whether the egg came from the chicken or chicken came from the egg. That's the kind of a thing which is, we saw it all this in Brahmananda Valli anyway. But this is a nice shloka. Bijasya antaha iva ankuraha idam jagat. Jagat idam. Jagat idam. Okay? So he says this world is exactly like a tree which is resident in a seed. Finished. His definition is half a sentence. Now we have to understand why did he bring this example, what is the meaning of this example. He is bringing an example here again. Iva is all upama actually, right? Prak, before. Prak and Sandhi become ing. Ik becomes ing because of the nakara which is following it. Prak. Prak nirvikalpam punaha. Vikalpam is differences. Nirvikalpam, no differences. In other words, unmanifested. No difference. Punaha, again. There's a word again. So there are a lot of Bhagavad Gita shlokas which are explaining it in chapter 2 and chapter 8. In these two shlokas you will find all these explanations so well. In chapter 2 between shlokas 16 to 30 and in chapter 8 the whole origin of the universe is available there in Akshara Brahma Yoga. All those are there. So Prak Nirvikalpam Punaha. The next line is a single pada. It's a samasa now. It's a complex samasa now. I will resolve some part of the samasa which I know. I will have to really spend a little time. Maya Kalpitam. That is a Tatpurusha, Tritiya Tatpurusha. Mayaya Kalpitam, Maya Kalpitam. Take the Tritiya Bhakti, take only the stem root which is Maya. Maya's Tritiya Bhakti is Mayaya. So remove the Vibhakti. Maya Kalpitam is Maya Kalpitam. So now we have now combined two words. We have got one word now, it's Maya Kalpita. Desha cha kalascha. That is a Dvandva, Desha Kala. So I am able to get that. Right? Then Maya Kalpitaha Aso Desha Kalacha. It is again, I think, Karma Dharya. So like that we can keep on building. The rest gets a little more complicated. I will not get in there. But it is a single pada, one word. The entire second line is one word. Maya Kalpita Desha Kala Kalana Vaichitra Chitri Kritam. It's a single word. Okay? You see that. Mayavi Iva. Savarna Dirga. E plus E becomes E. It has become Dirga. Mayavi Iva. Mayavi Iva. Mayavi Iva. Vijrumbati. Vijrumbyati Api. Yan Sandhi is there. That's why A becomes Ya. Mayaviva Vijrumbyati. Vijrumbati Api. Mahayogi Iva. So there are two Iva there. He is telling like a magician or like a Vishwamitra who created a world actually. Vishwamitra could just create a world. That's the example he gives in Manasollasa. He could create a world and put this Trishanku and create problem for everyone. Right? Out of his tapas. So Mayavi Iva Atava Mahayogi Iva. And what are these people doing? Swa Ichaya. That's what a magician also do. On his Swa Ichaya only he creates a seeming reality for all of us. Swa Ichaya. So Yaha. Again Yaha is coming there. One who is able to do this. So do that, we will have to understand all of them. Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namaitam Sri Dakshinamurty. That is common. So I put it in quick English. Let's not worry about the English. Let's talk about the substantive part. Now, so since in this shloka, it is the relationship between Ishvara and the world, it is inevitable that we have to talk about the creation process now. Now we'll go back to a little bit of Taittiriya Upanishad, the Brahmanandavalli discussions. So for the creation to happen, you need three things. You need upadana. Let us take this furniture. This example used at the time, we'll use it so that we have a continuity. Let's take this furniture. To do this furniture, three things are required. First, you need wood. No furniture will come without wood. This is called upadana karana, material cause. Then you need a doer, carpenter. Okay? It's called nimitta karana. Then you need the know-how. You can't have a carpenter. I mean, of course, know-how is actually part of the carpenter in a way. In other words, an instrument can be a nimitta karana, a know-how. I mean, you can take three, approximately. Two is enough. Upadana and nimitta. Instrumental cause and material cause. Right? Now, in Manasollasa, this second chapter, he has about 45 shlokas, I think. What he has done is, in the first 8 shlokas, he is actually capturing why did Shankaracharya, I mean, that's why Manasollasa is great. He is capturing why did Shankaracharya wrote this. Such a small, but it's a very profound thing. Why did he write? He actually captures in the first 8 shlokas what were the issues in understanding this creation process. Maybe that has happened at that point in time. He has captured it in these shlokas, the first 8 shlokas. So what he is saying is, so Manasollasa has a huge description of what are the different types of arguments made about the creation process and how Shankaracharya actually resolves, because some of them were at a point it was illogical. You couldn't hold on the argument. So Shankaracharya's whole thing is all this, what you call it as, this vada, vada pradivada kind of thing. Pratipaksha bhavana, purvapaksha, all these. So through that, so all those he is bringing in some way. So I am not going to get into all of them because these are all very heavy stuff. If you are interested, you can actually take Manasollasa and in your own ways you can read. But what he is saying is, the Shad Darshanas, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, then you have, Sankhya, and then Yoga, Mimamsa. These people are all telling different things. And Shankaracharya systematically destroyed these fellows and said, this is a flaw in your argument. For example, Nyaya and Vaisheshika are saying that this is a shloka which in Manasollasa it comes. He says, Upadanam prapanchasya sanyuktaha paramanavaha. Nyaya and Vaisheshika says the upadana or the material cause for the world is only the 5 gross elements. And by explicitly saying that, and they are arguing that Ishvara is not part of it. These 5 gross elements is upadana, is a material cause. Now Sankhya goes one step further and at least Nyaya and Vaisheshika says the nimitta karana, or the doer, is actually the God. Ishvara is the nimitta karana. Whereas he says, the Sankhya fellows said that is also not required. He says Upadana Karana is also not this thing, Nimitta Karana is also not Ishvara. Then Charvakas have a different argument because, and there are different types of evidence from it. All these he is talking, I am not getting to all of them. But the point I am trying to make, that is why these shlokas are very, very important. He is actually resolving these one step at a time. And what is the final position he is able to argue? He is able to argue, and which is so unique and important, is Ishvara is both the Upadana and the Nimitta. That's why in Taittiriya Upanishad, Tasmadva etasma ratmana akasha sambhutah akashad vayuhu. Tasmatva etasmatva akasha sambhutah. From him only the elements came. Shruti is saying all that. All Upanishads are discussing the origin of the universe. Nasadiya Suktam is talking about the origin of the universe. Lots of discussion is happening in origin of the universe. They are all concluding that there is a nice shloka in Mundaka Upanishad, I will show you. For everything it is there. Yata urnena bihi srijayata grinnascha. 3 examples it gives. A spider is both the upadana and the nimitta. Spider has no external raw material for casting the web. It is both upadana and nimitta. Like that there are examples. So he actually resolved that, and they are all behind this shloka. The shloka is a very simple shloka. Bijasya iva antah Ankuraha, you have Vijayasantari, that's all we are saying, but behind also. You'll see a little bit of the creation process and then continue. It's already 6:57, 2-3 minutes we'll do, and then we'll continue in this argument in the next class. So the process of creation is, two requirements are required. Nimitta Karanam, which is the intelligent cause, and which including instruments also. Instrument is a manifestation of the intelligence only. And Upadana Karanam, which is the material cause. That's why if you ask a very good painting, no idiot will ask, is there a probability of a painter? That's a very bad question. Because there is a painter. Nobody will ask, is there a probability of a painter? Because everybody knows there is a painter. That's why painting came. Question may ask is, who is that? Where is he? That's all we can ask. That's why when this beautiful world is created, don't waste your time. Is there somebody behind this creation? That's a foolish question. You ask, who is that? You can extend this logic to the origin of the universe. Somebody must be the Nimitta Karana. So all these we saw in detail in Taittiriya. I'm not going to go over it again, but I wanted to bring that discussion again because some of you might not have attended my Taittiriya. That's why I'm just doing it anyway. So the doer, the know-how, that's why Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. The Jnanam is actually the know-how. Satyam is the Satta is there, na? It is a doer, na? Existence is the manifestation of the doer actually. Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma, all those are there. Raw material is also Sat only. So all these are in Taittiriya Upanishad. Tasmad va etasmad atmana akasha sambhutah akashat vayuh vayor agnihi agnerapah abhyah prithvi prithvyam oshadayah oshadibhyonnam annat purushah. So from him all these came. So he is a upadana now. Directly it is being told. And intelligent cause, so kamayata bahusyam prajayeti satapo tapyata satapastaptva idagum sarvam asrijata. He created the whole thing. Why? Because in that cosmic entity, one day the desire came, let me create. Painter must have, you should have Ichcha Shakti, then Jnana Shakti, then Kriya Shakti. Then reality happens. Ichcha Shakti, Jnana Shakti and Kriya Shakti. Sokamayata is the Ichcha Shakti. Satapo Tapyata, that is the Jnana Shakti. Deep tapas, how do I do it? To make a pen we do R&D. To make one camera, 100 people do R&D, they qualify themselves to be engineers, design engineers and so on. To write one program you have R&D. Don't you think you need an R&D for creating 6 billion creatures? Man cannot create any of these. We can only reuse it. We cannot create anything in nature. We can destroy nature at best. We can only recreate.
Part of
Yeah, part of it. You're right. You can recreate and recreate. Beyond that you can do. Even procreation process is not yours. All those are again part of these, where the Taittiriya Upanishad only. So,
but we can file patents.
huh?
But we file patents.
Yeah, you can file patent and all that you can do. So, that is the Jnana Shakti. Idagum sarvam asrijita, that is the Kriya Shakti. He created the whole world. He created these names and forms and these creatures, these raw material, these your Mendeleev's table were all created by him. He only discovered it. Everything he created. So this creation process was differently told by different people. Through this second shloka, Shankaracharya actually resolves some of those and provides a certain perspective, which we will see. Next week is what? Today is... next week we will have. I don't know how many interruptions we are going to have, but next week I think we will have. Okay, we'll meet next week. Thank you.